Yes, people, Toto Hammer, and this is my review on the new F126 DLC. There's a lot of stuff to dive into: the new MADRING track, battery management, the handling model, and of course, so much more. And of course, at the end, we'll talk about which cars sound the best. But look, I'm not no top esport pro. I must say I'm a above average driver that can hold their own online races. I'm a league racer that race in different leagues. I say I'm an improving driver, but again, I'm nowhere near the top drivers of F1. So if you're an esport driver, whatever, even watching this, or even a regular person, this is for everyone really. So my thoughts on the F126 DRC, I think it's much better than F125, much better. Um, I think the handling is much better than F125. The big thing regarding F125 was the wheel flicking. Of course, with F126, you can still wheel flick, but apparently, it's less effective than last year. Because last year I used to flick a lot, but now this year I've gone more of a smoother. This is just me. I've gone more of a smoother driving style because these cars are a lot sensitive compared to last year. They're a lot smaller, but of course more sensitive. Um, Going into the F126 calendar. So, in my opinion, I think driving smoothly has been working for me. Find what works for you, but driving smoothly has been working for me. And of course, yeah, do as what you wish. If you want to still flick in corners, for it to go flick in corners. But I did hear that it's less effective. Um, Regarding the battery management, of course, we'll go into a Grand Prix session in a minute. Of course, you got four modes. Mode you got is none, medium, not 4 mode, 5 mode. You got none, medium, hot lap, straight mode, overtake mode. You got five. You literally got five modes. Um, the straight mode is used on every straight. Of course, when the detection zone comes up, you can use your straight mode. Overtake mode is literally like another DRS. If you are in within 9/10 um, of a second, you got to be at least nine tenths of a second, of course, in like a normal DRS. Then you get activated. Of course, you got boost mode as well. Boost mode, you don't really want to use as much boost mode, as far as I know, because if you use too much boost mode, and you got to get really strategic with it as well. You got to get really strategic with the ERS methods, the ERS deployment, because if you use too much boost on one straight or you use too much boost on one exit, and somebody else behind you got more boosts, the guy with more boosts will naturally have a more advantage. So again, I'm not going to tell you the best method for ERS management because I still haven't mastered it myself. There's a lot of videos out there got on ERS battery management. That's what I recommend to you guys to go watch. Is really learn the battery management, because battery management is really maybe a difference between a second of your lap time or maybe a couple tenths of your lap time. It's a really big difference, because as soon as you're out of battery, that speed will say go from 200 kph goes straight back to like 160 or something. It's a very, again, that maybe could be a bit an over exaggeration, but you slow down so many if you um, don't manage the battery correctly. But that's my view on the battery management. Of course, the people coming from F125, some people don't like it. I know a few people, especially in my community, that I do run, lobbies and races with, that don't really like the new regulation, don't really like the new battery management. At the end of the day, EA has delivered you a game to make it somewhat realistic compared to real life. Of course, it's not as realistic, but I think compared to F125, it is a lot more realistic. You got to be more strategic, the way you use your ERS and stuff like that. So I'm on the game right now. We can go straight into the MADRING track, which you've always been waiting for. We can go straight into the MADRING track. It's not no track guide because I'm not the best driver in the world, and MADRING I'm still learning. So it's not going to be like how to master MADRING, but it's my overall thoughts. And if people haven't really seen MADRING before, or most of you have the game, like playing the game, I've probably seen MADRING. But since this is my video, we'll go on to the MADRING track. And we're basically going to review it, and I'm going to give what my thoughts on the MADRING track actually is, so if we can find MADRING, of course it's Madrid, but the track is called MADRING. I did do a hot lap on this on a Assetto Corsa before, but that was just a mod, so it wasn't really the proper handling and the proper track physics. It felt really horrible, to be honest with you. But of course, I did drive this on a Assetto Corsa. Wasn't really a big fan of MADRING. And the thing to let you know, if you are worrying about battery and time trial, don't even worry about it, because the battery and time trial don't really count, so you don't really have to lift and coast. I can get into that lift and coast, actually. So, the thing is with lift and coast, again, that's something you have to do as well. It's not like F125, where you can just slam the brakes down and just drive normally. You actually have to lift and coast going into corners. And watching a lot of F1 races could really help with that as well, when you see drivers lifting and coasting going into corners. Even in the quali, you have to lift and coast as well, to be fast, apparently. So you have to practice a lot of lift and coast. Again, I'm not the best driver in the world, but I know by playing this game, you can't drive like F125. You have to lift and coast going into corners, and stuff like that. Now, going into MADRING, what I really like about MADRING, which makes it somewhat nice to drive, is that it's very, very good at ERS managing. Since it's more tighter corners, and there's a lot of twists and bends, you can most of the time leave it on none. Most of the time in the traction zones and in the small twists and bends. So, of course, what's really different between the handling model as well is that you can't really go on the curbs as much. You can't really go on the curbs. If you go on the curbs, it really unsettles the car. Especially in Grand Prix mode, when you have the battery management. If you try exit a corner out of medium ERS, you are most likely going to spin. Maybe I should have went into a Grand Prix mode instead of time trial, but if you exit a corner with medium ERS deployment, you are most likely going to spin. You're going to be out of control. So my advice is, take it with that as you will. Is that when you're exiting the corner, what I found out is better to exit in none, and then as you go into when you get back on the power, then you put it in medium, and then you run a long straight, use maybe boost mode or whatever to whatever you want. So what's really a big talking point about MADRING is the strap limits, because most likely as you've seen, you can actually go over this. You can actually go over this curb. And what I found out of the people I've been playing with in my community is that as long as you keep your semi-front right tyre, if you keep your front right tyre on that curb, it won't be invalidated. I'm sure EA will fix this soon. But as long as you keep your front right tyre on that curb, you should be fine. Now going into this section here, a big uphill section, a big dip, and a big uphill. I'm going into here. Usually, a lot of people that I know use boost mode. What I've just been through here. So, as you go through this section, a lot of people use a bit of boost mode. But as going into this section, you've got to really slow down the car, because many times when I played, I always caught this wall. So you really have to slam down on the brakes. Of course, trail braking is a big must as well. Learn trail braking. You got to do a lot of trail braking going into that corner. Now going through the corner, it's a very, very fast bend. If you take this here in none, you can go flat out. That's what I mean. There's a lot of fast twists and bends, which is really, really good on the ERS, but really bad for your tyres. So, especially in the race, tyre management will be a big factor. So as going into this corner, it's just flat out through here. Really, really flat out. Try to keep it to the right. Of course, this corner, it's a very, very smooth corner. There's another bend. And there's another bend. You see what I mean? So it's very, very harsh on your tyres. But really, really good at ERS, because there's a lot of twists and bends where you can most of the time leave it in none and medium. It's not... You don't really need to use much boost. You can if you want to, you don't really need to. Here, You can keep it at 9 throughout, and then go back on medium, a little bit of boost. Section here, you really need to get your braking right at this corner. Really need to get your braking right. Of course, as you see, default ghost. I haven't been on time trial on this track, but I've been raced on it a lot on multiplayer. But I'm gonna put a few laps in, definitely. Of course, you see my track map. If you do use track map, you see these little OT signs. They're the overtaking. They're the overtaking detection. It's basically the new DRS. Because on time trial, you're most of the time going to be in overtake mode, and of course you're going to have the straight mode as well. Straight mode can be accessed at any time, and of course overtake mode can be accessed if you're within 9/10 of a car ahead. So this is the OT. You see the OT signs. They're the overtake detection zones. You can see on the full track map as well. That's the detection zone. And that little blue line, that little faded blue line, that's basically where you can access your overtake. So let me go back. See the little seats SM, that means sprint mode activated. That's when your sprint mode no, that's straight mode. That's when straight mode activates. And of course that's when you can access overtake mode as well, when you're within 9/10 of the detection zone. But yeah, that's it with MADRING. A lot of twisty corners, definitely. So it's very harsh on your tyres. Try avoid the big curbs. I think these curbs you can actually have full going on. But of course, regarding different tracks, try not go over the big curbs too much. It'll really unsettle the car. F125, you definitely can go over them curbs. But in this game, the cars are way more sensitive. So that's my overall review on the game. I like the handling model. You definitely got to be more smoother, but again, flicking can still happen. If you watch esports drivers like Otis Lawrence, for an example, he still does the flicking. I know a few top drivers in my esports team that I'm in, X7M, as a development driver. I know some people that still use some flicking. Of course, not as aggressive, and it's a big gap between F125 and F126 regarding the flicking, because even in fast bends you can still flick. But it's usually the flicking that's required for more tight corners. You can't just usually do a big flick every corner now. Of course, you couldn't do that anyway, but it's usually for these tight hairpins that you would really want to flick on if you're struggling with rotation. A flick could really do somewhat well for you. But again, experiment with it. It's a new game, new DLC. Definitely going to be patches with the DLC. So keep trying. Of course, regarding setups, for now I do recommend using the time trial setup. So I do recommend to go on every track, load up, say Otis Lawrence's setup or Lucas Blakely's setup or whatever the top esports drivers are on there, and load up their setup and use them, because as the game goes on, setups will change. Eventually, them setups will become outdated. But now at this start of the DLC, use the time trial setups. They'll really help, and setups I think is even more key in this game. There's a lot of people that struggle with rotation with this game. I'd just say maybe you got some old F125 habits that you're driving too aggressively, but rotation in this game, I find it different, but I don't really find it as daunting as people say. So yeah, regarding this track, when you first go on it, it's not as good. I hate it when I first went on it, but as you do more laps and stuff like that, it will eventually come back to you. So that's my overall review on the game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Take my advice as you will. Again, I'm not no top driver. You don't have to listen to me. But I'm just giving my thoughts and my review on the game. And I thought EA did a great job. I thought EA's done a great job. It's a lot more different to F125. The handling is much better. I like it how it's more strategic with the boost mode, the overtake mode, the straight mode, hot lap. Because there's another change as well. Is that when you're in wet races, you're only allowed none, medium, and hot lap. Right? That's the only time you can use. So what I usually do, non-traction zones. When I say non-traction zones, it means like the long straights, the really fast bends. I use height lap. And as I go into a corner, as I brake, I go on none, and as I'm on full power, I go on medium. That's me. But again, there's a lot better ERS management videos out there. This is not an ERS managing video. This is my review on the game and what I do to have the most fun out of the game. And I think this game, so far, the handling model's great. So I recommend EA not to touch the handling model. I think it's great. Maybe a few patches here and there, especially the track limits, because track limits has been absolutely ridiculous. Especially on MADRING. A lot of top esports drivers have been exploiting that track limits glitch. But okay, if they were to do that, their time trials will still be on the system. So, there's a lot of patches still need to be done, but I think so far EA has done a really good job. So that's my view on it, everyone. Like and subscribe. Hit the follow button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Check me out on TikTok. All my socials are literally in the description below. So if you want to go check out my socials, it is in the description below. But that's it, guys. See you later, guys. TOTO Hammer. See you in the next one. Bye.